You're watching KSL Sports Live.
Thanks for staying up with us. We look back on a thrilling victory for the Utah Hockey Club and a conversation with new Utah State football coach Bronco Mendenhall.
Yeah, BYU's also getting ready to take on the Heisman Trophy winner in the Alamo Bowl. We'll talk about that, plus the basketball Cougars still celebrating after landing the #1 recruit in the country. More on A.J. DeBonce's decision and what he was doing last night down in Lehigh. If I could have one request granted in the college football world, it would be that the Pop-Tarts Bowl lives forever. The reveal for this year's trophy was perfect. They unwrapped it from a Pop-Tarts foil wrapper, and the trophy will actually doubles as a toaster. Iowa State facing Miami in that game on December 28th. Cannot wait for that. You know, BYU, they didn't make the college football playoff. However, the Alamo Bowl, also on December 28th, not that bad of an alternative when it comes to the payout, at least. Each playoff team gets $4 million for their conference for a first-round appearance. BYU will be paid close to $5 million for its appearance at the Alamo Bowl. Would BYU rather have had a chance to play in the Big 12 championship game, possibly go to the college football playoffs? I'm sure they would. It hurt getting so close, but coming up short. But the Alamo Bowl still gives the Cougars another chance to face a nationally ranked opponent, try to win 11 games in a season for the 13th time in school history.
Well, if you think the sting of not making a bowl game is worse than the sting of not making it to the playoffs or the conference championship game, then I think a lot of people don't understand this team. They're a hungry team.
Just super excited, honestly. They're a great team. We're super excited to go play. I don't think there were any feelings of, guys being bummed out. I think it was just excitement to go play a really good team and go compete with your brothers. It's another opportunity to go play football, so we're all about it.
All right, so let's keep talking about this Alamo Bowl matchup for a bit more here with Stevenson Sylvester, our resident football expert. We just heard the Cougars talking about that. They could have been disappointed a little bit to not get there, but to the playoffs or to the conference championship, but they still are in a big bowl game. They still get a nationally ranked opponent. It's Coach Prime. It's the Heisman Trophy winner. Probably pretty easy to get amped up for, right?
Yeah, no question. These guys hit it right on the head. It's still another opportunity to go out there and play, and there's just going to be so many eyes on this football game. It's going to be awesome. You got the Heisman Trophy winner, Shedeur Sanders, going to be possibly the #1, #2 draft pick. Coach Prime, as you said, you can't go with a commercial break without seeing Coach Prime in there. So, there's going to be tons of eyes on this game. You're going to be a primetime game on that Saturday. It's just going to be an awesome time, and so anybody who's wanting to make a name for themselves as they head into the draft, or even guys are heading into the portal, that will be the time to do it. So, yeah, I think a lot of BYU guys will be excited to play in this football game. It's going to be one of the better bowl games of the whole bowl season.
Certainly will be a whole lot of eyes watching this game. And I think a great place to start, we talked a little bit about that offensive side of the ball with the Heisman Trophy winner, Travis Hunter, but Shedeur Sanders, you mentioned him, one of the top quarterbacks in college football this season. Can BYU slow him down?
I think they can. Playing in the game against Utah, I feel like Utah got him a little frustrated, right? He's like, I can't figure this out. And, Utah and BYU are extremely similar. The thing is, going against Colorado, you are going to get opportunities, whether that's in making an interception or that is getting an opportunity to get a sack. Shedeur Sanders will hold on to the football. The problem is he's very elusive. He's hard to bring down. So if you get that opportunity, you got to make sure that you make that play. Bring him down on the first opportunity, because if he's able to extend the play by holding on to it, breaking out of it, that's when his athletes get open, and that's where you'll be in trouble.
Okay, so let's look at the other side of the ball, BYU's offense. Specifically in the trenches there, it seems like they might have an opportunity to take advantage of Colorado's defensive front.
Yeah, what I've seen in Colorado is, they are a very athletic front, but they're small, right? And so they do a lot of slanting. So if you can catch them in their slanting, I think keeping the ball out of Shedeur Sanders' hands and their offense hands is what you want to do. The games that they've lost the time of possession battle mightily. It was huge, right? And so if BYU can possess the ball, running the ball effectively, getting their defense tired, putting the big bodies on their smaller defenders, that's where you can take advantage in this football game. So if Coach Roderick can implement a great running game in this, I think BYU will come out on top. Okay, so L.J. Martin might be a key piece in this game for the Cougars coming up on December 22 weeks from now. You probably want to talk a little NFL tonight, right? Oh, yeah. We'll have you back here in a little bit later on.
Cougars.
Go Cougs.
It's real. The #1 college basketball prospect in the country didn't pick Duke, didn't pick Kansas, didn't pick North Carolina. He picked BYU. AJ DeBonsa will make Provo his college home. We look back at his decision that shocked the sports world.
Keller looking around. Keller shoots. He scores.
The Utah Hockey Club is surging. They've only lost one game in regulation over their past 9. How close are they to a playoff spot? And Bronco Mendenhall back in Utah. He talks to JJ about his move to Logan.
The latest news from the transfer portal, where Utah has found a new starting quarterback. What Devin Dampier brings to the Utes, that and more from the NFL is next.
Watching KSL Sports Live.
Two of the best teams in the NHL's Western Conference battle in Minnesota, the Wild and the Golden Knights of Vegas. Kirill Kaprizov scored not once but twice. His third period goal tied the game up at 2, but Vegas gets a goal from Victor Olofsson in that third period to make it 3-2, and that was the difference. The Wild host the Utah Hockey Club Friday night. So when the Utah Hockey Club moved to Salt Lake City this last spring, General Manager Bill Armstrong said this team would be close to competing for a playoff spot, but also reminded Utah that patience would be required as this rebuild continues.
Yeah, well, now I think we're starting to maybe get that glimpse of what he was talking about with this hockey team, starting to emerge in that playoff race.
Sergachev, and now Keller in it. Keller looking around. Keller shoots. He scores. Clayton Keller in the final minute of regulation.
Yeah, the captain, Clayton Keller, scored the game-winning goal for Utah last night in San Jose with just 44 seconds left in the game. That goal gave Utah its 6th straight road win. They've recorded 14 points over the last 9 games, a stretch with just 1 loss in regulation. And Utah is now only 2 points behind Vancouver for a wild card spot, thanks in part to Keller scoring 3 goals over the last 3 games.
Yeah, I just try to be patient. You know, I'm always, you know, looking for gunner as well, and I think, you know, I just had some good patience, and I was able to, you know, kind of slide a shot, low blocker there, and it's good to see it going.
You talk about another competitive guy, another guy who was never satisfied, who always wanted more, and he wants to be a difference maker, and I think right now we're power play. He's rolling, and he's a big part of it.
And guess what? Utah returns home Wednesday night for a matchup with Vancouver, the Canucks, in an early season battle for that playoff spot. 5 of the next 7 games are home contests for Utah, and 5 of those games are against teams currently in the playoff picture.
It's a good day. Several Utah players are deciding to test the waters in the transfer portal. 20 Utes entered the portal, including quarterback Isaac Wilson, Sam Heward, and Brandon Rose. But the portal takes and it also gives. Today they added Mississippi State receiver Creed Whittemore. He's the 4th transfer commit of the cycle.
Yeah, and with all of those quarterbacks leaving, someone has to be coming in. And guess what? Someone is. A quarterback that is very familiar with the new offensive coordinator, Jason Beck. It's his quarterback from New Mexico, Devin Dampier, coming in. This past fall, Dampier helped lead New Mexico to its most wins in the season since 2016. One of his best games of the season came in October up in Logan, when he passed for 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, and also rushed for 105 yards. He had 6 100-yard rushing games this season and 6 200-yard passing games. Dampier is rated the 14th best quarterback in the transfer portal by 24/7 Sports. So what does he bring to Utah that the Utes didn't already have? Well, take a look at the comparisons. Dampier passed for 2,768 yards, 12 touchdowns, 12 picks. Isaac Wilson, Brandon Rose, and Luke Bottari combined for 1,838 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 13 picks. Dampier also adds his run threat. 1,166 yards, 19 touchdowns on the ground. Wilson, Rose, and Bottari combined for 147 yards rushing and no rushing scores.
BYU has a few players testing the portal waters as well. 6 Cougars have entered their names. Among them are tight end Jackson Bowers, wide receiver Cody Epps, and defensive backs Micah Harper and Crew Wakely. BYU has received no commitments as of right now in the portal. They're obviously busy.
Please join me in welcoming Utah State University's 31st head football coach, Bronco Mendenhall.
This is not 2004 in Provo, it's 2024 in Logan. Same color of blue, same coach, different school. different era. The Bronco Mendenhall era begins at Utah State. Bronco is the 31st head coach in Utah State football history. He wanted to come home and will now take over a program that needs his ability to rebuild, change culture, and win. Bronco has a history of taking programs that have issues on the field and maybe also off the field and turn them into a winner. He did it at BYU, of course, taking the Cougars from 3 straight losing seasons to 11 straight bowl games and 2 conference titles. He took a Virginia program that didn't have a winning season in 5 years and guided them to 3 straight bowl games and an ACC championship. He was turning New Mexico around when this opportunity came up. The time was right to come home.
The world of college athletics, it's the ideal platform to develop amazing young people from. At the same time, championships matter. And so what you'll be getting with the head coach and myself is that, yeah, results absolutely matter, but how we accomplish that, it matters even more. I intend to represent you in a manner that I hope you're thrilled with. Will you always agree? I don't think it's possible. I'm hopeful that more often than not, but even in the times that you don't agree, you understand how come. And that transparency and clarity hopefully provides understanding. In the meantime, good results help soothe differences.
I sat down with Coach Mendenhall on Monday to learn more about why he wanted this job, his plans for the program, and how his way still works in the era of NIL and the transfer portal. That's coming up later in the show.
Utah announced Jason Beck as their new offensive coordinator, and he's bringing some of the New Mexico staff with him. Former BYU wide receiver Micah Simon, who coached the receivers at New Mexico last season, will be taking that same position under Beck at Utah. It was announced this week. And Utah also announced this week another former Cougar joining the staff, Mark Atuaya, who was a running back at BYU in the 90s. He coached with Beck at Virginia. He'll be the running backs coach up on the hill.
The Alamo Bowl won't be the first bowl meeting between BYU and Colorado. The 2 schools were matched up in the 1988 Freedom Bowl.
Yeah, the great Craig Bolerjack was there in Anaheim. He tells this story of BYU's 20-17 win in this week's dive into the KSL Sports archives.
BYU's biggest headache this season, turnovers. And on the 3rd play of Freedom Bowl 5, Sean Covey coughed up the football, giving Colorado excellent field position. In fact, that fumble led to CU's first touchdown, a 1-yard run by Eric Bieniemy. BYU, though, regrouped. Covey goes up top to Mike Solito, 19 yards on that pass play, forcing a 7-all tie. But just before half, Colorado mounted another drive. And with 1:04 to play, Bieniemy dives into the end zone, giving CU a 14-7 lead. Freshman quarterback Ty Detmer started the second half for BYU, and yes, he was effective, throwing this 14-yard touchdown to the old veteran, Chuck Cutler.
You know, I can't say enough for Ty. He came in, played well, made some great throws, and, you know, we pulled the game out and we won it. You know, he's going to be a great quarterback. You watch him in the years to come.
He just came in with just a lot of confidence, and we felt really good. He was really getting us excited, and so we did it.
Detmer's presence did make a difference in this game. So did Scott Peterson's. With the score tied at 17, this 4th quarter interception helped set up BYU's winning field goal.
By the time I figured out, hey, it's really coming here, the only way I could react was just stick the hand up, and I was fortunate enough to make the catch. I don't know, maybe it's my gloves or something.
So with 2:33 to play, Jason Chavitz trotted onto the field to try a 35-yard field goal. Would he be the GOAT or hero?
They blocked for me. Pat Thompson got the hold for me. Devin Coggins got the snap for me, and I just put it through the post. Even though it's my name on it, those are the guys that were just as much a part of the kick as me.
Who's your best friend tonight? Is it a kid named Jason Chavitz?
Oh, hey, I'm going to go pick him up and carry him around the locker room anywhere he wants to go.
So the long 3-year drought is over. BYU wins the Freedom Bowl 20-17 over a very tough and talented Colorado team. From Anaheim with the Cougars, Craig Bolerjack, Eyewitness Sports.
Brigham Young, BYU.
Definitely a national championship. That's everybody's goal, but I think, you know, with the team that we got coming in, you know, it's definitely possible. So that's the main goal. Go Cougs.
Is this the biggest commitment BYU Athletics has ever received? The #1 high school player in the country, the projected #1 draft pick in 2026, AJ DeBanza, he's coming to Provo. He made that commitment on national television earlier this week on ESPN's First Take.
I'll be coming into Brigham Young University.
Brigham Young, BYU.
Yeah.
Cougars.
Go Cougs.
You know, prospects like AJ typically choose the likes of Duke, Kansas, UConn, or North Carolina, but in this new era of NIL, programs like BYU, if they have the resources, they can bring in the best talent. According to AJ's dad, Ace, though, other schools made the same financial offers as BYU, so what was it that sold them on BYU?
A lot stood out on my visit. Obviously, Coach Kevin Young there. You know, my ultimate goal is to get to the NBA. And, you know, he coached one of my favorite players, my favorite player all time, Kevin Durant. And he had high praise about him. So, I mean, I wanted my visit, head coach all the way down to the analytics guy all the way to the dietitian, is all NBA staff, even the strength coach. So, I mean, if it's all NBA, I'm trying to get to the NBA, I think it's going to be the best development program for me.
Those are some pretty strong selling points. You know, later that day, AJ was also a guest on the Stephen A. Smith show. In that show, Smith admitted that he knows very little about BYU basketball and what Kevin Young is doing in Provo. And AJ and his dad, Ace, they called him out on it.
I'm going to watch BYU basketball for the first time, man.
You're not watching this year?
No.
You don't know who they got coming out this year?
No, I'm not watching them much this year. I will be watching them next year.
Right.
I will watch practically everyone. If you're around, I'm going to watch.
All right.
I'm not going to have you on the show and then ignore you. You know, first of all, you got a fan in me.
He's not going to watch this year?
No, I watched them this year. I mean, I watch them as the season progresses.
That's the best when his dad doubles down right there. You know, AJ's clearly watching BYU this year. In fact, on Wednesday night, he was already at the Marriott Center watching BYU beat Fresno State, and he got the full experience. Introduced to the fans at halftime, then even hung out in the Rock.
I mean, it's fun. Just everybody supporting me. I mean, like I said, welcome home. So, I mean, it's going to be my next home. So, I mean, just like everybody just got to be a family. I like how it's, you know, just a family atmosphere.
Now, AJ was on the court this weekend already at the Holiday Hoop Fest Saturday in Lehigh. Utah Prep taking on Duncanville, Texas. DeBansa showing off, catching the one-handed hoop, throwing that down. He also would show the ability to fight through contact, gets the end one. DeBansa showed us a little bit of everything in this game on Saturday. This time next year, he's going to be doing some of this down in Provo in a BYU uniform.
Can't wait for the show. We have to take another quick break. When we come back, a historic start for Utah State hoops.
More NFL. Patrick Mahomes injured? How bad is that? And more with Bronco Mendenhall. That one-on-one conversation with JJ as the new head coach at Utah State.
There are now just 6 unbeaten teams left in college basketball, and Utah State is one of them.
How about that? The Aggies remain perfect after an 88-67 win over South Florida. Their 10-0 start is now the best in school history.
There are a lot of reasons for the great start. Of course, new head coach Jared Calhoun has been very impressive, and he's getting attention nationally for what he's doing with the Aggies. But as for the play on the court, Mason Falslove has been one of the best sophomores in the country. He scored in double figures for the 7th time in 10 games with 27 points. It's also the 27th time in his career. He also had a career-high 9 assists. Not only is he lighting up the scoreboard, but he's making the team better with his playmaking ability.
I don't know if you saw this, but the Jazz had some hot shooting going on against the Suns Friday night. They shot 55% from the field, 56% from the three-point line. They've made a season-high 22 three-pointers. But as hot as the Jazz were, they made just 1 of 7 attempts from downtown in the final quarter, and the Jazz became just the 6th team to ever lose when making 20 or more threes on 56% shooting.
All right, Bronco Mendenhall's back 20 years after rebuilding and revitalizing the BYU football program. He hopes to do the same at Utah State. I had a chance to sit down with the new leader of the Aggies, who's excited to return home to take on this new challenge.
This opportunity, I know it was just had to be gut-wrenching to leave New Mexico. It's a university you care a lot about those players. Why was this the right job and the right time?
Lots of different factors, but ultimately family is first in my wife and I's life. That does not mean or diminish, man, how special Utah State is, that we're going to the Pac-12, the rich history that and this community, which we fit perfectly in. When you combine all of those things, which are the professional and the career and the calling parts of it, as well then as, the family part, that combination, I think for any of us, is something that, you dream you dream of for a chance for that to happen. Just feel really, really lucky.
The move to the Pac-12, and I'm sure a lot of other things, was that a factor in making this job more attractive? How important is that move to the Pac-12 and everything else that's going on here to take things to the next level?
Yeah, I think commitment's really important. And when there's commitment and that also matches the expectations of a program, I love to win. I love championship football. I love success. And Utah State's clearly committing to wanting to go that direction. And gosh, for any leader, when the expectations and commitment meet, the chance for alignment is way higher. And so, gosh, I'm really encouraged about the direction, the trajectory, the commitment, the expectations. And my job, quite frankly, is to deliver the results. And it's a results-oriented business. There's just some really cool things I get to do while the results are happening. But Utah State is clearly doing their part, wants to do their part, and wants to do more. And it's exciting.
The saying says adapt or die, and you have to do that in college athletics today. How have you been able to meld what you do as a program with the new world of NIL and transfer portal?
Yeah, it's challenging, but it differentiates us. Our program is tough. It's demanding, but it's also transformative. For the people that are part of it, they become exceptional people, and the results have come as well on the field. And so I think we found an amazing way to develop young people with NIL possibilities, but also keep that within the construct of the team growing and becoming through NIL. And I don't think many are trying to do both. Most of it just focuses on the individual. I think we've created a way where each individual's success is celebrated by the team, and the team acknowledges we just got better with someone else advancing. And that's part of the human development part that I really like in coaching. We've just now put a cool plan together that builds the NIL structure into it.
If you ask Gary Anderson and Matt Wells why they were successful here as head coaches, they'll probably tell you, our roster was built on the backbone of Utah kids. How important is that to you, and how are you going to do that?
It's vital. That's so clear to me. Essential, vital, mandatory, whatever words we want to put in there. And man, the high school football here is so good. The coaching is so good. The talent pool is so good. And it's Utah State University. It's a perfect fit. And great players, great staff, great community, great trajectory of a program, rich history. It just makes complete sense.
We're very familiar with what your teams look like. Utah State fans remember what BYU was like, but I think they'd like to know, what do you want the identity of this team offensively and defensively to be when they see this team on the field next week?
Yeah, really, if you just go from outcomes without specificity, right, it has to be complementary, tough, and physical, but dynamic and electric. And that can happen at the same time. You can be tough and physical and boring and not yield a lot of points. I think the combination of tough and physical and dynamic and electric, and then really aggressive defensively, but tough and physical, those all go together really well. So the complementary nature of our team will end up looking like that.
If you have, or when you do, what is your message to the players currently here at Utah State?
The future's bright, a lot of work ahead, highest expectations in their entire lives, the most challenging experience they will have ever had, but the most meaningful getting ready to happen.
'Tis the season for one of the greatest holiday movies ever. Elf and the Grand Rapids Gold in the G League were in the spirit with buddy uniforms on Friday night. How about that? And they weren't the only ones. The Evansville Thunderbolts of the SPHL and minor league hockey, they had the same idea on Saturday, a game that also included an elf fight on the ice. If I remember right, Buddy fought Santa in the department store, right?
Santa!
Yeah. You don't smell like Santa. You smell like beef and cheese. Have a good night.